become your successor?
I don't think so. I think I would have beaten Trump, could have beaten Trump, and I think that Kamala could have beaten Trump, would have beaten Trump. It wasn't about, I thought it was important to unify the party. And when the party was worried about whether or not I was going to be able to move, I thought even though I thought I could win again, I thought it was better to unify the party. And it was the greatest honor in my life to be President of the United States, but I didn't want to be one who caused a party that wasn't unified to lose an election. And that's why I stepped aside, but I was confident she could win.
This is my video update on this Monday morning, January the 13th, coming to you from Larnaca, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with protests in Romania. Very big protests in Bucharest. From what I understand, protests also taking place in other cities across Romania. They are protesting the cancellation of elections in Romania and the fact that Ionescu was denied the possibility of becoming president of Romania, or at least having a second round of votes. And instead, what you now have in Romania, you have Klaus Iohannis, who wanted to become the NATO Secretary General, but lost out to Mark Rutte. He remains the president of Romania without being democratically elected. An Zelensky situation, that's what you have going on in Romania, an Zelensky situation with Klaus Iohannis. So there were big protests in Romania, and these were legit protests. How do I know that they were legit protests? Because there were no EU flags and no Ukraine flags. So these were real Romanians, real people coming out onto the streets, protesting the fact that the globalists, the European Union, they have denied them the opportunity of having a proper and fair democratic election. And it shows that the people in Romania are not buying any of the BS about Chinese-owned TikTok being interfered with by the Putin. They're not buying any of that. They know the truth. They know what has been done to them. And they're not having any of it. Good on you, Romania. Good on you, people of Romania. So yeah, the protesters were real. And there were no people flown in from other countries. No waving of EU flags, no waving of Ukraine flags. This was a real protest in Romania. Things are changing in Europe, man. Things are changing in the EU. If Ionescu eventually wins, if you eventually get to another vote that Ionescu is allowed to participate in, and if he wins those elections, you will then have Orban, Fico, Ionescu. In Austria, you could possibly have Kikel. And in Czech Republic, look out for Babiš. He could end up leading the Czech Republic. And he's an ally of Orban. Things are changing in Europe. Ursula must be in an absolute panic. So in Croatia, you had presidential elections. And Milanovic, he crushed it, man. He absolutely crushed it. Milanovic got 75% of the votes from the second round of elections in Croatia. Yeah, he did really well. Really well. And he's also anti-escalation with Russia, and doesn't want Croatia to be sending money and military resources to the Zelensky regime. He actually said in a comment to the media, when they asked him about Project Ukraine and being at war with Russia, he said, "We're at war with Russia? Croatia? What are you talking about? Maybe Germany's at war with Russia, but we're not at war with Russia." So yeah, he's president again. He is the incumbent, and he has now won. This is his second term. And I believe in Croatia, the president decides much of the foreign policy and military policy. So people in Croatia, they came out and they voted against war and against escalation with Russia, against the Green Goblin. That was the vote that went down in Croatia. And you had a London think tank which was trying to spread the same lies that the globalists spread against Ionescu. A London think tank tried to spread the same lies against Milanovic. It didn't work. That he's pro Moscow, pro Putin, and the Kremlin is using social media to influence the vote in Croatia. None of that worked. The people of Croatia that came out, they voted, they saw through the lies, and they chose Milanovic. Populist incumbent sails to victory in Croatia presidential election. Pro-Moscow candidate Zoran Milanovic secures a second term after winning runoff by almost a 3-1 margin. That's the title from Politico. Pro-Moscow candidate Milanovic. Pro-Putin candidate Milanovic. Pro-Putin candidate Ionescu. As opposed to the collective West friendly candidates who are what? Pro-Ursula? Pro-Ursula candidates. Pro-Biden. Can you imagine being labeled a pro-Biden candidate? Man, that's embarrassing. Or being labeled a pro-Ursula candidate, that's embarrassing. That is really embarrassing. Anyway, that's what happened in Croatia. That's what went down in Romania. Something tells me Ionescu is going to be president of Romania. Sooner or later, he's going to be president of Romania. I don't know. I just have a feeling. Just have a feeling that people in Romania, they're not going to stop until they get a fair election. In Serbia, you had protests as well yesterday. Big protests in Belgrade. And students, led by students and student organizations, they protested in Belgrade. Once again, this is a protest to hold those accountable in the government for the tragedy that happened in Novi Sad at a train station, right? When a canopy collapsed, killing, I believe, 15 or 16 people. And so Serbians, they went out onto the streets and they were protesting the fact that it looks like we haven't really had much accountability from the Vučić government about the catastrophe that happened at this train station. And this looks like it was legit as well, because before the protests, there was a lot of posts on social media saying that EU flags will not be allowed at this protest. In other words, we're not going to allow the globalists and the European Union to hijack this protest. We want this protest to be real, to be legitimate. At least that's my reading of things. I'm not in Belgrade, but this is what I saw on social media. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but let me and everyone know in the comments down below if these protests in Belgrade were absolutely legitimate, and if there really were no EU flags, if the EU flags were indeed barred from being present at this protest in Belgrade. So we got the news that Ukraine drones were trying to attack Turkstream. About eight drones in the Krasnodar region of Turkstream. They 8 drones tried to attack the Krasnodar region where Turkstream runs through, and the Russian Ministry of Defense, they said that the drones were shot down Emirates off to Dubai. There's a flight that goes Malta, Cyprus, Dubai, I believe. That's the flight that is heading towards Dubai. I don't know, but I know that that's the connection: Malta, Cyprus, Dubai. So yeah, attacking Turkstream. The Russian Defense Ministry said the attack was aimed against a compressor station in the Krasnodar region of southern Russia, but the facility was working normally and there were no casualties. Reuters could not independently confirm the incident, and there was no immediate comment from Ukraine. So if you believe the Russian Ministry of Defense, they're claiming that the Green Goblin wants to take out Turkstream. Someone has given the order to Zelensky, one of his puppet masters. I imagine Zelensky has many puppet masters, but one of his puppet masters, or a combination of his puppet masters, has given Zelensky the order to make sure that Europe does not get any cheap, reliable energy from Russia. Or you can look at it another way, to make sure that Europe is starved of energy from anywhere other than very expensive LNG from the US. A little bit of Qatar LNG as well. I don't know, something tells me that Zelensky is acting on orders from very powerful people to starve Europe of cheap energy. And that means attacking the Turkstream pipeline, the last pipeline feeding into the EU from Russia. So he's already cut off transit via Ukraine, and now they're giving him the orders to start sending drones to try and dismantle Turkstream as well. Make your gas prices in Europe go up and up and up. Buy that expensive LNG from America. That seems to be the orders given to Zelensky. So Mike Waltz was on ABC News, the incoming national security advisor, the man that has taken over for Jake Sullivan in 7 days. Wow, 7 days. One more week. Can we make it? Can we make it one more week with the Biden White House in charge? I don't know. It's going to be close. It's going to be close if we can survive for one more week of the Biden White House. But Mike Waltz, he was speaking to ABC News, and of course the topic was Project Ukraine and Trump and Putin. And Mike Waltz, he gave out mixed messages. That would be how I describe what Mike Waltz said to ABC News. Mixed messages, which leads me to believe that the Trump administration still does not have a clear handle on Project Ukraine. They don't really know how they're going to negotiate with Putin. They know they've lost. They're starting to come to the realization that they have very little leverage, if any leverage, over Russia. I think slowly, very slowly, they're starting to come to the realization that the one thing that they can offer Russia is the one thing that the globalists, that the neocons, that Congress, the Senate will not allow them to offer, and that is NATO being rolled back all the way to Germany, right? Get your missiles out of Romania, get your missiles out of Poland. get off of our borders, go all the way back to Germany. That's the one thing that that the U.S. could offer Russia, that Russia is interested in, but that's going to be impossible for Trump to pull that one off. He's going to have to give up all of his political capital to even get remotely close to being able to offer that to Russia. And I think the Trump White House, they're starting to understand this. But mixed messages from Mike Waltz. He told ABC News that Trump could be calling Putin in the next couple of days or couple of weeks. He didn't put a timeline to it, an exact date to it, but he said it could be happening in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. He said that the Trump administration recognizes that Ukraine cannot take any territory back from Russia, including Crimea, he said. It's his way of admitting that that Ukraine is lost. That's Mike Waltz's way of saying we understand that Ukraine has lost. So he said that, and he said that the narrative has changed since Trump won the elections, which is that before Trump, the narrative was as long as it takes, he said, and now the narrative from the collective West, including from Zelensky, is that we need to wind this war down. He even said something along the lines of Zelensky walked into a room in Paris and said, how do we come to a ceasefire or to a peace deal in Ukraine? So basically his point was that Trump has shifted the narrative. It's no longer as long as it takes. The narrative now is that we need to come to an end, to a diplomatic settlement for the war in Ukraine. So that was some of the stuff that he said that made sense. He said some other stuff which is very alarming, which shows me that he's still got those neocon vibes. Those neocon tendencies are still with Mike Waltz, and they're still hovering around the Trump administration. He said that the conflict in Ukraine is, he said it's a World War I with the possibility of becoming a World War III meat grinder. He said something along those lines, something like that. It's a World War I, possible World War III type of meat grinder. That's what he said about the conflict in Ukraine. So he says that, and then a minute later, he talks about how if Ukraine is really fighting for the democracy of the collective West, Ukraine is fighting to safeguard and save the democracy and human rights of the collective West, then Ukraine needs to address its manpower shortage, its issues on the front lines, and it needs to stabilize the front lines. And the only way, he said, you can stabilize the front lines, it's not about weapons, it's not about money, it needs men. This is what Mike Waltz was saying to ABC. It needs men. And so what Ukraine needs to do is that it needs to mobilize 18-year-olds. That was the point that he was making. And if it mobilizes 18-year-olds, then maybe you get some stability on the front lines, and that gives the Trump White House a bit more time and a little bit more leverage to negotiate with Russia. Not a good statement from Waltz. And then he also mentioned some North Korea stuff, which shows me that he's still buying into CNN or Washington Post and New York Times reporting about 10,000 or 50,000 or 500,000 North Korean troops fighting in Russia and stuff like that. So he said some stuff which made sense. Then he said some stuff which was very, very bad, which shows me that he has no understanding what's really going on. So it was very much a mixed message from Mike Waltz. which leads me to believe that the Trump administration or the people around Trump, they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on in Ukraine yet, and they haven't figured out a way to deal with Project Ukraine and to approach Russia. Still a work in progress. We will see. 7 days, and they take over. The Trump administration, Mike Waltz, Rubio, Waltz. Who else is in his foreign policy team? Tulsi Gabbard. 7 days, and they're taking over. If they all get approved, of course. Mike Waltz will definitely get approved. He will get approved, as will Rubio. So in Germany, we had the party congress for Sarah Wagenknecht's BSW party. So they had their event in much the same way that AfD had their event yesterday. And this is all in preparation for the elections in 1 month. So they're putting together their party platform, their election platform, and they're voting on their election platform. Elections in Germany in about a month's time. A little over a month. We're going to have elections in Germany and perhaps a new chancellor. The pirate is setting sail out of the office of the chancellor, the pirate. And most likely we're going to get BlackRock Mercs. But we'll see. We will see. Sarah Wagenknecht's party, the BSW, which is a populist left party, but the Collective West media, they call her far right, of course. She's a far right populist left candidate. She said that if she is chancellor, then Nord Stream is back online. Interesting, huh? Alice Weidel said that yesterday, and now you have Sarah Wagenknecht saying that if she wins, if her party wins, then Nord Stream is back up and running. She also said that Germany is being crushed by Project Ukraine, being crushed by the United States. And that's the point. She said that's the point of the whole Ukraine conflict, the sanctions, all of that stuff is about crushing Germany. You know, in the summertime, the water is all the way up to there. This is where the water comes to in the summer. Interesting. So let me read you what Sarah said. The sanctions have nothing to do with morality. They have nothing to do with human rights. They have nothing to do with the love of peace. They are simply a stimulus program for the U.S. economy and a killer program for German and European companies. Wow. What a statement, huh? Wow. What a statement from Sarah. We finally have some German politicians waking up to the reality of what Project Ukraine was all about, at least for Germany. And for Germany, Project Ukraine was a way to keep America in, keep Russia out, and keep Germany down. And you finally have some German politicians, popular, very popular German politicians and German parties, finally, after 3 years, realizing this and saying this in public. Interesting statement from Sarah Wagenknecht. And Pirate Schultz played along with this, huh? For 3 years, he played along with the keeping Germany down NATO mantra. He was standing next to Biden in January, February, in the White House during a press conference when Biden said that he's going to take care of Nord Stream. He'll figure out a way to take care of Nord Stream. And Schultz was standing right next to Biden, man. And he said nothing. He did nothing. Biden said, I'll figure out a way to take out Nord Stream. I'll figure out a way to take it out, damn it. And Schultz just stood there. Oh, all right. Okay, I guess that's cool. Sure, no problem, Bidenopolis. Take out Nord Stream. Oh, man. Well, Merz is going to be worse than Schultz. Things are not going to get better for Germany because Merz is going to be worse than the pirate. Much worse than the pirate. But at least you have the AfD, at least you have the BSW now openly talking about getting Nord Stream back online and openly talking about how the conflict in Ukraine has destroyed Germany. Can Germany come back from this? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Russia's gone for good. But we'll see. Putin did say that there is one pipeline that when Germany wants it to be turned back on, we can turn it back on. One Nord Stream pipeline that's left intact since Gilligan's explosion, his sabotage. So Biden, he's upset with Zuckbot. Not the Zuckbot. He's upset with MAGA Zuck. Free speech, Shaggy Zuck. Biden's very upset with Zuckerberg. He told the media the other day that the whole idea of walking away from fact-checking, as well as not reporting anything having to do with discrimination regarding, I find it to be contrary to American justice. Telling the truth matters, Biden stated, adding, the move appeared to be completely contrary to what America is about. We want to tell the truth. The idea that a billionaire can buy something and say that they won't fact check, and then you have millions of people reading it, I think it's really shameful, the president asserted. Biden wants to tell the truth. He really, really wants to tell the truth. And he's very upset that this billionaire oligarch who gave his campaign $400 million has decided that he's going to go with community notes now. And he's going to ditch the fact checkers who were very much in the pockets of the Democrats and the Biden White House. Biden's very upset. He's going to call up Zuck and he's going to yell at Zuckerberg. And we know that Zuckerberg is very, very afraid of Biden. That's why he censored all those posts on Facebook in the first place, right? That's what he told Rogan. Joe, I had to censor the posts. I had to ban people. What am I going to do? Biden was yelling at me. I don't want Biden yelling at me. Have you heard Biden yell at someone, Joe Rogan? Have you heard Biden yell? It's scary, man. It's scary. I got scared. MAGA Zuckerberg. Anyway, Trudeau is talking about his retaliation against Trump if Trump places 25% tariffs on Canada. And he went on to Jen Psaki's show on MSNBC. I believe one of the first sit-down interviews that Big Balls Trudeau has given out since he announced his resignation, his intent. He intends to resign since that big announcement. I don't know, has he given any sit-down interviews? He sat down with Jen Psaki, who was at one point in time the press secretary for the Biden White House. And she was also in the Obama White House for the State Department. She was doing communications for the State Department. So she's an insider. She is a deep state globalist insider. And Trudeau, he said that if 25% tariffs are put on Canada, then Trudeau's going to retaliate. And he's going to place sanctions on Canadian energy, is basically what he was saying to the United States. He said he is going to fight fire with fire if Trump dares place 25% tariffs on Canada. He is going to place tariffs right back against the United States. And he actually said that no American wants to pay 25% more for electricity or oil and gas coming in from Canada. And that's something that I think people need to pay a little more attention to. And perhaps the idea of a 51st state is distracting a little bit from a very real question that will increase the cost of living for Americans and harm a trading relationship that works extremely well. So yeah, Trudeau. Big balls Trudeau. He's warning Trump. He's warning the United States. Don't place sanctions on us or else we'll place sanctions on you. And that's going to lead to a 25% increase in energy costs. And that's not going to be good for your economy. You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that if we get into this type of tariff war, if the United States, if Trump is really going to engage in these tariffs, the United States, they're going to conserve oil and LNG for the U.S., and they're not going to export as much, if any. They're not going to export as much, if any. And you know what that means for the European Union? That means the European Union is doubly and triply and quadruply screwed. Because if they can't get US LNG, or if Trump does something along the lines of prohibiting the export of LNG, of US LNG outside of the United States in order to protect the US market and US prices, because you've got all these tariffs flying back and forth, then what the hell is the European Union going to do? That's a possible scenario that could unfold. Anyway, that was Trudeau's statement to Psaki. He's going to fight fire with fire. I'm going to fight fire with fire. Anyway, let's do a clown world and we can wrap this video up. And we return to Zelensky, who said that he is offering the 2 North Korean soldiers from Tuva, the North Korean soldiers with Russian IDs from the east of Russia, the region of Tuva, he is offering them in a trade. He said to North Korea, to Kim Jong-un, if you can figure out a way to get our Ukraine soldiers back, then we'll give you back these 2 Tuva region, Tuva military ID, allegedly North Korean soldiers. That was Zelensky's offer. Yeah. Zelensky offers to return captured North Korean troops in exchange for Ukrainian POWs. For those North Korean soldiers who do wish to return, there may be other options available, said Zelensky in particular. Those who express a desire to bring peace closer by spreading the truth about this war in Korean will be given the opportunity. Yeah, Zelensky said that Ukraine's going to capture more North Koreans. He said it's inevitable. And so I guess he's making the soldiers an offer. If you want to return to North Korea, I can set it up. Otherwise, if you want to hang out in Ukraine or in the collective West, we can arrange that as well, as long as you tell your story to the world. Tell your story to the world, how the Putin made a deal with Kim Jong-un and you went to Kursk, which is a part of Russia, to fight. That's the compelling story that Zelensky wants to share to the world. North Korean troops in Russia, fighting inside of Russia. That's the story, if you want to believe any of this narrative that Zelensky is throwing out there. Should we do one more clown world? Let's do one more clown world. And we can wrap all of this up. We'll stay with Zelensky for this final clown world. He posted on social media that Ukraine is ready to help the United States, ready to help Los Angeles fight the fires. That is what Zelensky told the people of LA, told the people of California. He said, today I instructed Ukraine's Minister of Internal Affairs and our diplomats to prepare for the possible participation of our rescuers in combating the wildfires in California. The situation there is extremely difficult, and Ukrainians can help Americans save lives. This is currently being coordinated, and we have offered our assistance to the American side through the relevant channels. 150 of our firefighters are already prepared. So he wants to send 150 Ukrainian firefighters to Los Angeles. That is Zelensky's offer, for which the replies under X were along the lines of, from Dr. D, no need, just send our billions back, or from Inmanity, today I told California that I will sell them back the equipment they gave us for free at a mere 500% markup. Exactly. That's exactly Zelensky's angle. Zelensky, man, he's a sinister guy, man. He is a sinister guy. Basically, he's worried that the reports which were circulating around the media, which claim that California, LA gave a lot of their equipment and resources to Ukraine during the first couple of years of the conflict, that this is going to do damage for Zelensky and his regime as they continue to ask for more money and more weapons. He's afraid that this is going to be very bad optics and PR for his administration. And so he's concocting this whole, we'll give you 150 firefighters and we're ready to help, because he wants to try and spin this towards something positive, but no one's buying it. You can tell from the replies underneath his post. Almost 80% of the replies that I saw were pretty much, give us our billions back. We're not buying any of this. We want all the money, everything we've given you, return it. That's not going to happen. Anyway, that's the video, theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.